right, joining today by Peter Murphy and Terry Smiljanich. Tell us why ConsumerWarningNetwork.com got some national play this past week with an idea to helping people in foreclosures, and that is what?
That is called Produce the Note.
Is it like Show Me the Money?
Yeah, Show Me the Money, exactly. It's on our website, and it's received a lot of national attention. AP, CNN, ABC, a lot of different entities. And what it is, it's an attempt to provide some help to people that are in foreclosure,
okay,
and who are just simply trying to slow things down so that maybe they can work with the bank a little more, because the bank's not returning their calls, is not willing to work with them. They hear about these Obama plans and other plans, and they'd like to participate in them. But meanwhile, the sheriff's knocking on the door, and they're going to be foreclosed next week. Well, what we talk about on our website is the idea of a simple request to the lender who's suing you, saying, let me see the note. You say, I owe you this money, and it's based on a note, a mortgage. Let me see the original note, not a copy of it. Let me see the original, because whoever holds that original is the one that has the right, you know, to enforce the debt.
Well, I thought these things had been sliced and diced and chopped up and bundled and sent off to wherever.
The problem is, there's still an original note somewhere. But yeah, but it's been chopped up and diced and sold and resold and resold. And what the banks, what it forces the mortgage lender to do is say, ooh, where is the note? And they have to go find it. And maybe sometimes they can't find it. They can still go to court and say, well, we can't find the note, but here's the proof that we have that we're the appropriate. So it's not a way to help like deadbeats or something, to just stay in a home for free.
Because if they find the note, you're still going to be foreclosed on,
You're still going to be foreclosed on.
So,
but if it buys you an extra 8 months, where you can work with the bank and try to modify, and maybe also people that have adopted the strategy, what we've seen often is that because they've taken that approach, suddenly the lender has gotten a lot more interested in returning their phone calls and working with them.
It gets them actually in dialogue with
the squeaky, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and so they get a little more attention from the bank, and they're willing to maybe work with them. So it's not a magic bullet of any kind, but it is an approach that people who are in those kind of desperate straits where they're about to have their property sold out from underneath their feet, to buy some time to see if they can work something out.
And you've seen it work for people.
Oh, we've seen it work for people, and there's lawyers in other states that have told us they've adopted the strategy, and they found that courts are very receptive to it.
Show me the note.
Show me the note.
That's fascinating.
Right.
Melanie via email, I really don't have any sympathy for the people who took those mortgages they couldn't afford. My heart goes out to the people that did the right thing and still at the end of the day find themselves in foreclosure. Luckily, I'm not one of them. So that's what a lot of people are saying. I bought 10 years ago, and I've, paid my mortgage down to half, and those people bought 3 years ago. They knew they couldn't afford it. On $20,000 a year, they bought a $250,000 home. No sympathy.
Right. That's why
we're rewarding bad behavior. That's what people are thinking.
If Obama had said, or if the plan had said 120% instead of 105% or 130%, people such as this person who have a legitimate gripe would have more to complain about. Well, why are you helping these people that, borrowed too much money? Again, it's not fair to many, many, many people that are in this situation because of unscrupulous behavior by people that got them into the situation. Yes, there are irresponsible people out there that got themselves into this, but let's put the ultimate blame not on the poor homeowner. Let's put the ultimate blame on the people that forced this into the system by their practices a few years ago, where they were being told, get these mortgages out the door, get these advertised, sell as many as you can.
Blame on both sides.
Right. Well, understandably, but most of the people who got into those loans, like you said, were not folks who were coerced into banking those loans. These were people who went in and sat at the closing table under the presupposition that home prices would never stop increasing, values would continue to rise. And once that stopped being true, that's when everything fell apart. So I think that everyone went in there with disclosure. There were some cases where you had a person who went in there who was deceived, but I think that's really a fragment of the reality. And the email that we got from this emailer, her sympathy needs to be with some of those people who did the right thing. The FHA borrowers, the first-time home buyers who were allowed to only put 5% down and buy. They made a good decision without coercion.
And again, foreclosures in her neighborhood are affecting her. That
is a good point. People feel like, well, let them fall, because it's not me, but if it happens to the house next door to you, then it does affect.
That's
so
right.
really, we really have to, I mean, it is a village here.
Right.
Bay Area homeowner, via email, I can tell you, having worked for mortgages for some time, that most borrowers don't really have a clue as to what they're getting into. They look to their lender or their broker to explain the process. The mountain of paperwork they sign at closing does not help to clarify anything. If the lender says they're approved, that is what they think they can afford. Boy, is that true.
Boy.
Now that the lenders have tightened their requirements, they only hear denied and don't understand what happened. I think this plan is too little, too late.
Well, here to a large extent, because we get these emails every day from people who explain, you know, how they got into the circumstances they're in, and you know, they go to a closing, and they look at something and it says that their stated income is this. They go, well, that's not right. But don't worry about that. No, it's just a formality. You know, this says this is my primary.
Or not even that, Terry. You know, you're signing pieces of
Sure,
paper
sign
that
here.
if I didn't have a lawyer with me, you might not know.
Sign here, sign here, sign
The
here.
process, I sat on closing tables all throughout that, and the process in some cases was that deceptive. But the simple truth is, you pay, you stay, you don't, you won't. How much more simple is it? How many borrowers were buying houses who didn't understand that? And if they didn't understand that, then what business did they have buying, period? So to blame coercive mortgagees, coercive lenders, you know, undisclosing real estate agents on this is really to pass the buck. Borrowers borrowed with the perception that home values would never stop increasing, and that's the problem. They started decreasing, and they ended up in this trouble.
I disagree to some extent. To me, the situation is you've got two people at the table, a very sophisticated business person and an unsophisticated borrower. Now, yes, there are exceptions to that, but when you're going to start placing blame, I think to blame the victim is not right.
So what do you think the numbers are out of line of how many people they say will actually be helped by this? You know, if you have 13 million Americans who are underwater in their homes, and they say that up to 9 million will be helped by this plan, do you really think 9 million will be helped, or
Yeah.
are they just, is that just political hype?
That's really hard to say, and it's the typical up to, you know.
It all depends on what the lenders will actually do. Will they take this and run with it?
That's the big question.
There we go.
Right,
You never know.
Right.
We're going to reach out to some bankers. We're going to continue this conversation and ask the bankers what incentive they have. Are they going to play? Are they going to play through? So we'll continue to follow it, and we'll be right back. Terry Smiljanich's website, consumerwarningnetwork.com, has information about that Show Me the Note strategy that has gotten all the national attention, which you might want to check out if you are in foreclosure. Might buy you some time there. And Peter Murphy with Home Encounters and Ybor City Real Estate Consultant. Thank you, gentlemen. And very interesting topic. It affects so many people today, so thanks for giving us some clarity about this, hopefully. And thanks to all of you for great emails today. Always glad to get the emails because we want to hear what people are saying out there. That'll do it for us at noon. See you in at 5 o'clock, everybody. Have a great afternoon.